All right,
All right. Welcome to On My Block Podcast, the Green Bay Packer podcast. I'm your host, Ahman Green, along with my good friend and teammate, Mike Wall. Man, Mike, how you doing?
Hey, G, doing well, buddy.
All right, man. Yeah, it was one of them one of those weekends all around for our boys. We knew going into that game that it was going to be rough, tough selling to set anything up and try to do anything offensively or defensively.
AG,
But
if I may,
go ahead.
If I may, you're gonna want to
Okay.
see this. Okay, now I played 7 years with Green Bay. How many years did you play?
8.
8 years. 8 years with Green Bay. Okay. Now every year, I played 3 years for the Carolina Panthers. Okay, and I had some good years there. To be fair.
Yeah.
Every year, David Tepper, the owner of the Carolina Panthers, sends me a gift basket. Every year, big nice box, sweatshirts. Look at this new beanie. Look at it. Okay. Hey, where's our stuff?
Nice.
Where is our swag? We got no swag coming from you guys. Unbelievable.
Hey.
I just got that yesterday,
I could raise that flag too. Right.
Would you?
All right, I could raise that flag. I like that because I could raise that flag with them. Only time I get anything is when we do. You know what, Mike? You got to do more events up here because when we do events,
that's true.
Like we get the polos, we get the
AG. I do nothing for the Carolina Panthers. I do nothing. I call in.
I know. That's what I
every
said.
Once in a while, and they just send me stuff. That's because you know why? It's because the alumni list for Carolina is like 4 people. Green Bay's been around. Green Bay's been around for 5 times the amount of years. You know.
Yeah. So and the organization say, "Hey, what you done for us lately? Former player or current player? What you done for us lately?" That's what goes on. But before that, let me get into the sponsor read. So BetOnline football is back, and BetOnline remains the #1 source of all our football betting needs this season. So you'll find the latest odds, matchup information, player news, and game trends. And as your continued source for all sports wagering info, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. So always the fastest and easiest to bet online on all your favorite sports events, and from NBL or MLB, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf and esports, Mike. So you know that. BetOnline, head to betonline.ag to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure you use the promo BLEAV, BLEAV, to receive all your awards. So BetOnline, Mike, where the game starts. All right, now we're going to start with this game here real quick. Packers, I think they covered the spread. The Bills covered the spread right here. Beat them by.
I think it was 11, wasn't it?
I think it was 11.5 actually. So
we're. I mean, if you bet Packers here, I wasn't looking good for a long time.
Right, though. I say, yeah. So it was just tough game. Beat them up. What you got here for me?
Well, we fall to 3-5 for the first time in Aaron Rodgers' career. I mean, this is tough, right? Because you're averaging 18 points a game, which is like 26th, 27th in the league. And
not good.
I would just look at it this way. That team is better than our team. The Bills are better than the Packers. They're going to if you play it 20 times, they're going to win 18 of them. They are definitively better. And if not for a couple of things that we'll talk about that happened in the second half, the spread's probably bigger here. What I want to focus on, I think, is that the Packers finally gave the ball to Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, and everybody that is involved in the running game. Yes. I'm talking about Josiah DeGuara. I'm talking about A.J. Dillon running behind his pads like a dominating running back last night. Aaron Jones doing his thing.
Yep.
I'm talking about Tunyon playing in the running game. I'm talking about all the receivers be getting involved. Like that was they were sending a message to them, really to their locker room. We're not on the season.
Right.
We're going to try to establish an identity here, and we'll talk. I mean, there's you just brought up something offline, AG, that you want to go into. You talk about this kind of mirrors a team that we played on.
Yeah. Exactly. So what I was, I've been talking, I said it last week in episode, it's kind of like the 03 season. And I was like, let me do some homework. Let me do some research. So I looked it up. So after the last month, let me see here, where are we at? Right here. So after this last month, we're going into our bye week, October 8th, 19th in 2003. So we just lose to the Rams in their stadium, 24-34. We had a couple of big turnovers. We had a couple of touchdowns, a screenplay touchdown. That was about it. So we go into bye week. Come out the bye week on the road in Minnesota. We get a win there. We stay home the next weekend, November 10th. We lose to Philadelphia. Close game. Turnovers were the difference. We get beat 14-17. Then we go down to Raymond James Stadium. That's that. We had a game-winning season defining drive. We had a 98-yard drive where we literally ran the ball 90% of the time between me, Tony, and Najee. We pretty much punched Warren Sapp, Derrick Brooks, John Lynch in the mouth. And we said, this was how we're going to win it. We had some play action plays in there, but most of the drive was run plays. And then we come back home to Lambeau. We beat San Francisco 20-10. So we're looking at November 23rd, going into Thanksgiving week. We go to Detroit. We lose to them 22-14, probably because of ugly uniforms, like you mentioned. Terrible uniforms. But then after Detroit, because we knew at that time, if we can't lose nothing else. We're sitting at 6-6, Mike. 6-6 Thanksgiving going into December. So that told us as players, coaches didn't have to say nothing. We already knew the mathematics. If we lose one more, we're done. And this is probably the best team we had been on. We knew going into that season because the previous years, all playoff teams, 0-1 playoff, 0-2 playoff, 0-3. Now, to us as players, this was the year that's like, this is it. Like, this is a Super Bowl run right now. That's how we felt. But we got beat up, but we never mentally checked out. Like, we lost games. We know it was tough. Like, we lost to, Kansas City overtime. They came to us here. We lost to Detroit. It was a close game there. Then we lose to Philadelphia, 3 points there. But mistakes were made that we looked at ourselves like, okay, this is fixable. We just can't make these mistakes at this point in time. So we get to that point after Detroit, and basically, I remember saying to myself, this is it. We got to roll. We got to ride out, basically. I remember saying that in an interview. We got to go undefeated, get to the playoffs. And we did that. We beat Chicago. We beat San Diego Chargers. We go out to San Diego, beat them 38-21. That was a good team. LaDainian Tomlinson, Hall of Fame running back.
That was his breakout. Yeah, that was the first game they started to put him in slot, and they started throwing him the ball. They're like, oh man, this guy plays slot receiver too.
Yep. And then we had Irv Favre help us out, with motivation. What happened, unfortunately, to that family. Then we go out to Oakland, and that game, we were going to win that game because the way things went down, unfortunately, for our teammate, that just right there, that for me, I was like, I don't care if we're playing it. If I'm what's her name, Sarah Connor, and I've got to go against the Terminators, I'm winning. That's how the mindset I was on. I was like, I don't care what's on this field. It could be a whole bunch of Terminators on the other side. We're winning. I said, when I get the ball, I'm running through people. That was a W. And then we end the season because we played the Broncos. They want to sit all their starters. And we did, regardless of the fact, we're going to do what we need to do, win this game. And we did. We won the game. But then little help from Minnesota, losing to the Cardinals down to AZ. And then, boom, we get into the playoffs. So the difference between those teams, what was the one, what you just mentioned off behind the scenes here, as you say, Mike?
Yeah. The difference is we had an identity. Like, we knew exactly who we were back then. Mm-hmm. We weren't playing for, like, there's a difference between we were a good team that wasn't playing very well. And right now, this isn't necessarily a playoff team. And that's the fundamental difference, right? And we had enough guys on that team that had success in this league at a high level that all of us collectively were like, nah, we'll figure it out. Like, we will figure this out, whether like the play calling is not vibing with what we're trying to accomplish, whether I'm making a couple of mistakes, you're making whatever it is. Like, we all know that we'll figure it out individually and collectively. Whereas right now they're still trying to figure out who they are from an identity standpoint. And if we go, to that point, man, because last night, obviously we run the ball 30 times. We have all the success. And a lot of people are up there. Well, you only scored 17 points. And I can get into, like, I charted all the series last night. But listen to these comments from Aaron after the game. I thought it was interesting. He was asked which way they think they need to play. Do they need to run the ball? Do they need to throw the ball? And he said, I'll go back and watch tape. I'll get back to you. But he says, tonight there's limited attempts, and for most of the game we're running the football. So if that's how we want to play, if there's more opportunities, I have to raise my game. If it's like tonight, I just got to manage the game. And so, like, in my mind, that's an immediate, and I think he did a really good job of just stopping there, because that could have gone any direction. As you know what I mean?
Correct.
But
it was,
but certainly it sounds like not really happy that we ran the ball 30 times. And we still have to push the ball down the field. We have to drive the ball down the field if we're going to try to score a lot of points in this league. I think that's not only his opinion. I think that's probably proven in fact over the last couple of years. Unless you have a Derrick Henry and a dominating defense, then it's going to be really tough to just rely on the run game exclusively. But having said all that, man, like, you were running the ball. We had Bubba. We had Javon Walker. We had Fergie. We had guys at the skill positions that could make plays in the game. We had a 4-time, 3-time MVP. We had a good offense. Like, we had the positions on offense to make plays back then, and they just got to figure this out. And last night, honestly, I didn't think they were going to win, and so this was a step in the right direction, because at least this is the first time in a long time where they're like, we're down 2 touchdowns. Hey, to the plan. Running the ball is the only way this is going to be close. Like, do you really want to give the Buffalo Bills another possession because you're going to go 3 and out? Like, I think they ran the game plan the way they needed to.
Yeah, and then from the start, you see Stephon Diggs run up the tunnel, jabber jobbing with Jair. So that right there, I thought it was interesting, because obviously he has some ill feelings when he was a Viking and they had to, he had to go against the Packers in a different color uniform. Being wide receivers, DBs, they chatter. But to me, I'm thinking, like, if I'm Zaire, I'm already motivated to win. Now you're gonna piss me off. Okay. All right. Then it's gonna be this type of game. So I did see from Zaire's point of view, some of it probably, got a little touchy, but that was then a mark for me to say, man, this is your time to say, look, you know what, you in my face, let's play ball then. Go and be the defensive back, be the player that you are, but then work your technique, work your skill, try not to get no flags, which he did. He came close on a few. But then right there, that's a wake-up moment to when you have players calling you out in your face. I'm like, all right, it's on. It's a fight now. Now we got to play ball. Let's go. Whoever's with me is with me.
Yeah.
But I'm doing this. And I think that you saw a little bit of that, especially with the run game with Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon running the ball downhill. And then guys on, the younger guys coming in, Samari Torrey, Romeo Dow's making some big catches there. I think the attitude just changed a slight bit. We won't know until the next game, but at least it showed that somebody has some pride and, like, you know what? Our man, they calling me out. They calling us out. Let's go. Even though they're the better team, they're gonna get us today. But you still got to go out here and play ball and be a little bit prideful. Be like, wait a minute, man. I'm a football player. There's no respect right now, but I guess I got to gain it back. Let's go.
So I thought it was interesting because generally speaking, like I played with Steve Smith. So Steve Smith would talk trash to everybody on the field. It didn't matter if he was going against him or not. But generally speaking, it's interesting. It's always like interesting to me. Like, why is Alexander talking trash to Diggs when he doesn't cover him all day? Like,
right.
It makes no sense to me, right? But that's just me. So I know he had a tough game last week, and he's probably trying to get himself back up. Diggs also just tied Randy Moss for the most consecutive games with a touchdown against the Packers, so that could be it too.
Yeah.
But this is a team that's like they're trying to find their identity, like we just talked about. And so when you have guys that are doing a lot of chest pounding, a lot like that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because everyone's just trying to find their way. And if you can get guys if you can get guys on board, and if that helps some people kind of find their way, then I think all the better to them. I think that you see that a lot with teams where the de facto leader is the quarterback, because the quarterback, although is the most important position in sports, it's also not a very violent position. Like it's not a very aggressive confrontational position. So when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's probably, the de facto leader of this team, or not de facto, but he's the leader of this team.
Correct.
I think you also need to find those other guys. And I don't know if it's Jair Alexander or not, but you need to find those other guys that are like, hey, on defense, on the offensive line, running back room, maybe it's Aaron Jones, but we have these other personalities that can also lift everybody else up, because the quarterback's got enough to deal with to, not spend time talking trash with like the defensive tackle, for example.
Exactly. Oh, I agree with that. They got a lot. They got enough on their plate.
So
right.
We talked about last week when we're how to attack this Bears defense, or excuse me, this Bills defense. So the Bills play base nickel, and the cool thing about the Bills is you kind of know they're going to show up in this nickel regardless. So even if we bring in like 12 personnel and leave Tunyon on the field, like unless you bring 2 real tight ends in or tackle tight end, they want to stay in their base nickel, and that gives you hypothetically. Now they were really good against the run going into the game last week. It's 3.5 yards per carry, but it gives you the opportunity to run the ball with larger humans blocking smaller humans, right?
Basically, yeah.
And for me, that is the best thing that came out of this game. And we'll show it on tape later on, but a lot of those, like the big run to start the second half, like they're running against 5 and 6 man boxes. Yeah. But it's like, who cares, man? Like we still got to run the football. Even if they have 5 in the box and we're blocking with 6, like we have numbers. We still got to run you still got to execute. You still got to do it.
Yep.
And, for me, I don't know. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but this is the most physical performance I saw. What did you think about specifically the skill position guys? Let's take it away from the offensive line. What do you think about the skill position guys, particularly the running backs and the way they ran?
Oh, I thought they ran physical. They ran to a point where they knew that we're going to do this or else. It's going to be run plays called. It's going to be a heavy to light box, a mid to level box, like you said, 6 to 8 guys in there, and that means you guys got to put it down, and make things happen. There were a couple run plays where it was sometimes you got pushed back, knocked back in the backfield, but then that didn't stop, which was good to see. Even though you got pushed back, now you're going to keep running the ball, because in other games previously we saw that, and then LaFleur just switched it up with play calling, try to pass it out or went to the screen game and all that, and when that right there, this game actually stuck with the run game, regardless of what the scoreboard said.
How big is it in the running back room to fall forward every run?
I watched.
How emphasis is that? Because I know that was your big thing.
That is, like, as a coach and as a player, that is the number one thing between holding on to the ball is fall forward every time, because it's little things like that. Not only obviously it's obvious stuff. Oh, it adds yardage to your stats, but anywhere. That gives that confidence to everybody that's blocking. Oh, we got positive yardage. And my running back, he's not where we started at the 20, and now we're at the 22 or at 25 or the 30. So that's more of a mental thing to say. And then another thing, when you get tackled, put that ball just put another arm length on it. Like, here you go, ref. And then let the ref bring it back. Try to get as many yards as you can, because it's just more of a mental to then picking up extra yards, because as we know, those inches count. Come to the goal line, 4th and short, 3rd and short, trying to get those conversions. Those yards count for sure.
Yeah, and one of the other things that kind of goes unnoticed, like this is such a dynamic game, and there's 11 people on both sides on the field, and Micah Hyde's already out for them. Then Jordan Poyer goes out with an elbow injury, so now they're on 2 backup safeties, and we start taking advantage, like in the 4th quarter, and then we've been running the ball. And look, we talked about it offline. Like, if you're the Green Bay Packers, you're not going to give Josh Allen, who, quite frankly, they had 5 scoring drives in a row. They had 3 and out, and they went 5 scoring drives in a row. Like, we are not stopping them, right? No. We had the Rasul Douglas pick. We had the Jair Alexander pick. Those are taking points off the board. Good job by them.
Yeah, good job.
But if you look at that Rasul Douglas pick, that looked like Favre against the Saints in the playoff game when he was playing for the Vikings. Like, that was a terrible throw.
Bad throw.
The Jair Alexander pick, I don't know what he's doing there either.
He's not even throwing the ball away.
It didn't even make sense, right? But it did happen, and they got to make the plays, and good for them for making the plays, and it did keep points off the board. But the truth is, when you look at the totality of this game, like, the Bills are not being stopped. And for the Packers to say, like, yeah, we're going to just go start chucking this ball around when Ed Oliver's in the backfield every pass play and Jordan Poyer is still back there ball hawking, like, it's not a good matchup given the fact that Watson went out the first series. We're out Lazard. We're out Cobb already. We've got all these issues. So it just really made sense the way this happened. And then it's like, well, Poyer's hurt now. I know we had to score, but it also all kind of worked together, right? Like, Torrey gets wide open in the back. Like, it's not a coincidence that Poyer's out of the game, and all of a sudden he's running free in the backfield after a quarterback scramble, right? Like, all that kind of stuff comes together. But we still have to make the plays, and that's what the big deal is. That's the takeaway.
Yeah, that's a takeaway. So, I mean, good job by Torrey, either noticing that the safety is out of position when he readjusts his route to help Aaron throw him to an open position in the end zone and get that touchdown. So that's, experience by that young guy. And then Dobbs had some great had that one great catch there at in the south end zone or whatever end zone it was. That was
Collinsworth loved that, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's.
It was a hell of a catch.
It was a hell of a catch. Regardless of how it happened, it was catch, and that's just builds confidence, stacking good plays on top of good plays, and just pay it forward for the next game here.
Did you see? They put Matt LaFleur in a box to start the second half, and they asked him just what he said to his guys at halftime.
Right. No, I think I missed that.
He's I'm a paraphrase, but he basically just said he wants them to win the half. Right. He wants to come out and be physical and win the half. And, that sounds like, it sounds on one hand like you're conceding, like you might not win this game, but we want to win the half. But on the other hand, it's like that was probably the right thing to say. And I thought it was I think it was an apropos message given where we were at with this team. And they did respond. They ended up I think we ended up winning the scoring battle in the second half. And you can always point to when maybe the Bills took their foot off the dude. I don't know if the Bills do take their foot off the gas, right? I think they just made some mistakes. But you saw in our offense, both with that first drive with a lot of long runs, and then later on with Aaron Rodgers showing like, hey, don't forget, guys, I'm pretty good if you just, if Ed Oliver's not bothering me the entire time I'm dropping back, right?
Yeah.
So I think the net for me, like I know we lost the game, but
there's some good stuff.
You just feel like, man, and honestly, number one for me, and it's not because you're a running back, A.J. Dillon running the way he did. I knew Aaron Jones was going to play like he did. Yeah, but that's the first time we saw A.J. just like, man, that you look like at the end of year last year, and that was great.
Right, and it came off of, a lot of those carries was after his knee got turned up on, so I was a little worried. I was just a tad bit worried. Obviously, maybe he's just out for a few series, or maybe, what is it? And then, boom, he was right back in there. And that right there is a big thing there because I remember my first season here, and we went down to Chicago, and I had remember the first start of the season, I had that big knee brace on because I got an MCL sprain in preseason. And then in the second quarter of that game, I sprained my MCL again. I go in right before halftime, and it's a question mark if I'm coming back. I told him, the doc said to me, Doc McGinnis said, you got to put the brace on or you're not going back in. I said, no, throw that thing on. Let's go. Put the brace on. And I remember coming out that third quarter, had a big run, like 15-yard run. I get tackled. I'm getting up. Mike Brown, my college teammate's like, man, we thought we got you out. I'm like, nah, bro. It's just a little sprain. We put the knee brace on. Let's go. So there's a mental thing when he came back on there for, only for against the Bills and but for himself too. So I thought that was a big deal. All right, so what we got here?
You want to hit this trench warfare?
Yes, for sure. Let's do it. It was some woo.
Yeah, and I really think it was a tale of two halves. You look at the beginning of the game, and we talked about it. Like every week you're going to get a different kind of. Now let's talk about the Bills' defensive line and trench.
They are.
Tremaine Edwards and Matt Milano. Those guys are unbelievable at the linebacker level. But every week you're going to get something different. So the Giants, you got space eaters. The Jets, you got penetrators. The Washington Redskins, you just have guys that I'll just say they're really, really talented and they're kind of slippery and they can make you miss. These guys, Ed Oliver, he's 6'1", 287 pounds. Like he's a leverage player, right? And Jordan Phillips, I was with in Miami. If Jordan Phillips is motivated, Jordan Phillips is 6'5", 230 or 330 and can move. If he's motivated, okay. And then you got these guys on the end, both of which are dynamic pass rushers. Obviously, Von Miller's been around forever, but Greg Rousseau's a really good player. Ed Oliver. Made All-Pro last night. Ed Oliver made All-Pro last. I mean, that's how good. That's how dominant he was. I just watched the tape again. He's in the backfield. He's disrupting plays. And basically, right about the same time Jordan Poyer went out, Ed Oliver in the fourth quarter stopped. He was out. I don't know if he got injured or what, but he stopped playing.
They might have pulled him. I don't think he was injured.
And the pass rush all of a sudden is not like one guy knifing through. It's like this wave that's kind of just coming back slowly. Now Rodgers sees a couple holes. He can roll out. He
has time.
Yeah. He has a little bit of time, and you see what is available to him because of his talent and his field vision when he has got kind of like a wall coming at him versus one guy just running right at him, right? Ed Oliver was absolutely dominant last night against every single player he lined up against. And Greg Rousseau's sack was really Ed Oliver's sack. I mean, he absolutely dominated this game. I happened to watch the Titans-Texan game, And Jeffrey Simmons, like that's the only other thing I could compare it to. Jeffrey
Right.
Simmons did the same thing against the Texans, but he was absolutely dominant. And we have to understand, like on 4th and 1, you got Zach Tom, who's never played left guard before in the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
Your first 4th and 5, right? You're on your first drive, and you leave him one-on-one with their best interior pass rusher, who's 6'1", 287, and plays with leverage. In my mind, as a philosophy, you just go,
you won't do that.
Cannot, you just don't allow that to happen, because what Ed Oliver did to Zach Tom in that moment is exactly what I would expect him to do 20 out of 20 times in a 4th and 5 when you know the quarterback's not going to take a deep drop, right? I mean, this is the kind of stuff where you got to go, all right, maybe Zach Tom's got to be able to anchor him, but let's be realistic, he can't.
Let's help.
Let's bring some help him, right?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, bring some help there, because I saw some plays where between knife and through, between him and the other DT coming in and then Vaughn coming in, that whole 3 guys of offensive linemen were in Aaron's lap, and he's getting hit. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, that surge. And I mentioned this before, the surge, when that ball is snapped, seeing the realignment of the offense, the line of scrimmage is a thing. If you don't watch that as a coach, because I got watching that as a high school coach, because then I could tell my head coach or my OC, we need to run these plays. We can't go inside. We got to stick it to the outside. We got to toss play, because penetration blows up an inside run play. Can't have that. Or if we're going to do a 3-step drop throw, can't do that. We got to get 5 to 7, because right now it's a problem in the interior. So make that adjustment. Help our linemen, like you said, bring help from either the running back position, maybe tight end. Do that. It was that later on. It was a little adjustment with Tunyon coming in, helping out as best way he could. But that's just something where a coach got to see that from the booth or even on the sidelines and make that adjustment.
And what you see so if I say, Ahman, I'm playing against a 6'1", 287-pound guy, you're probably gonna go, oh, cool, we're gonna run, right? Because he's gonna have leverage on me in the pass game, but I have size and strength and understanding where I am in the run game, and that's kind of what happened in this game last night. And especially Zach Tom is probably the best guy to talk about here, because he's still undersized. Like, he doesn't have his man body yet as far as NFL man body, right? Like, he's probably 3 years away from being like 305 jacked up, okay? But what the kid has and what we're so excited about him is because he's got hip pop. And when you see him, driving on a 2-eye, when you see him driving on a 3-tech, when he can get he's got that hip hop and he can move bodies, but you've got to be going forward, right? Every time you go backwards now, it's like somebody asked last night, like, why is it easier to pass block or run block? I go, well, is it easier to walk backwards or walk forwards? It's easier to walk forwards. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I know it sounds stupid, but it's really that easy.
Right, to us, to me,
it's really that simple. So we put ourselves, like we talked about last week, put ourselves in position to be successful with this run game. We ran downhill. We attacked the edges because they have undersized guys. And the difference to me was, one, those guys showed up in the middle and got on second level and did a nice job against 2 really good linebackers. But the difference to me in this game, in the running game, was not only did AJ run hard, because Aaron's been running hard, but honestly, DeGuara, Mercedes Lewis, Tunyon, they played well this game, and they made a difference. Whereas sometimes, in some other games, we have not gotten the extra yards after contact because the tackles are too clean, because those guys aren't getting their blocks.
No, exactly. It's just guys that actually, was a question mark, like Tunyon, was like, all right, this is a reality check. I need to do this. And guys that are already doing it, Mercedes, DeGuara, he's in there getting feisty, getting beat up, and Milano. It just, between Milano and Edmonds, great linebacker crew. Their speed, they're instinctual. They were reacting to certain run plays, and then it's like, to the screenplay, it's like that was really just off of being another interception. On the one they tried to do to AJ or Aaron.
On the third down.
Aaron Jones. I was like, ooh, that was touchy there. I was like, I think you could have just threw it to the ground, not even give them the opportunity, because the way they're fast read to the ball. So great job on this.
What do you think as a running back? You're running the ball, and then they ran that. So it was all over TV. So Aaron Rodgers, they pulled 2 guys, but DeGuara was coming in motion when they ran the RPO for the sack.
Yeah.
So DeGuara's coming in motion, and Aaron, I think, saw the safety go over the top. So he's thinking like easy flat pass, right?
Yeah.
So Zach Tom is supposed to cut this guy off, and the guy goes backdoors him, which doesn't matter because it's a run.
Yeah.
and then goes up and sacks Aaron because Aaron's holding the ball there. And sometimes on those are the plays sometimes where we're like, in this offense right now, and Aaron Rodgers is a 4-time MVP and he's better than I'll ever be. And I'm not questioning his greatness or anything or decision making, but it's in this situation right now. Like those are the ones where you get back to the sideline. I'm just telling you as like an offensive lineman that you're like, dude, I just gave up a sack. I didn't even do anything wrong. And it's like, like right now I can go, it doesn't matter then. But in the moment, it kind of does weigh on you. And I'll bet you it does weigh on you as a play caller as well.
Yeah. And I was watching that game, watching that play with my wife, and she's like, what's he doing with the ball? I'm like, no, nothing. He was in the wrong position a little bit. He was off where the lineman did his job, but by letting him go and the way the play design, and he just got surprised with it. It wasn't really, it was more Aaron's fault than the lineman's fault, but it's going to be probably put on the offensive line blocking. Well, I just had to explain that play out to her.
I don't know if it will, because like he's just trying to cut off the backside.
Yeah.
Like Aaron's that's a handoff.
Yeah.
Every time, and he saw the safety going over the top on the bar, so he's like, I'll just fire it to him. The corner stayed, so he didn't fire it, and then it was like, oh, guy's right in your face because
I gotta eat it.
As a guard, you're like, dude, I don't care if you go backdoor upfield, do whatever you want. Like everyone's going to the right. If you want to go to the left,
you ahead, helped me out, but oh no, darn it.
Yeah, man. So as far as the offense goes, like it's one to build on. Listen, we know that 1v1, there's just certain things like Yosh isn't a great run player, right? So on the 1/4 down, Von Miller like decimates the entire right side of our line.
That was interesting play.
You just go like, dude, wow. Von's only like 250. Like that's like
he just caught leverage with him at the wrong position.
Yeah, but still you go, come on, man. Like it's 4th down. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Be aware.
It's just that's when I talk about like this team is better than that team. We just have some work to do, but you bring back Jenkins and you start going, I don't know what's going to happen in the right tackle position, but I'm trying to be as positive as possible. Like it's good that we were able to run the ball. I don't care that they were running 5- and 6-man boxes in the third quarter. Like I really don't care. No. Like you still got to call the play. You still got to execute. And guys, like how this game is, man. If you have confidence, then I have confidence, and then we're going to be better.
Exactly.
Right? If you feel like we're winning, like Derrick Henry was telling his team yesterday, dude, they cannot stop me. What do you think that does for the offensive line?
Oh man, it's awesome. It's confidence on. It's like it's like a force field you feel like around yourself. I'm powerful because my guy just told us this, And I say for some of the conversations that you and Marco and Flannery were having, I will overhear during the game. I'm like, okay, because I hear y'all trash talking. Hey, number 30's coming right here, and there's nothing you can do about it. We're gonna run the ball, and then 33's coming first, and then 30. I used to hear y'all say that. I'm like, oh yeah, it's going down. It's about to get real up in here. We're about to have some fun.
Yeah, those are man. I tell you what, I'm hair's standing up on my arms right now. I get excited about it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this defense a little bit. I think with the thing that we just cannot gloss over is how poorly our safeties in particular are tackled. I mean, AG, I said last night, it was like you might as well just get some paper towels wet and throw it at the running back, man, because you ain't slowing down. I mean, like in the hole, there ain't nowhere to go. Like listen, we know that they're professionals. We know that they're not trying to miss tackles, right? Mm-hmm. But let me ask you this. When it is a basic tenet of the sport, like this is a basic technique, right? This ain't, this ain't learning how to do a speed cut versus an ankle cut. Like this,
to a jump
this
cut.
Is blocking and tackling. When you're not good at it, where do you look now as a former player, as a coach? Where do you look when you go, okay, our safeties can't tackle? Where does the onus go? Like, where do we go from here?
As a professional, I put it on the other professional, the professional player. That's here and a want to, because like you said, that's what you learn. That's the first thing you learn as a kid playing little league ball is how to tackle. Then set other things like throw the ball and catch the ball and secure the ball. All that's like secondary. Number one thing is tackle. And if anything, I knew for myself, regardless of what side of the ball I was on, I started my NFL career as a special teamer. So obviously that was priority in my department. And always in my head at any point in time, running the ball, saying, on a play action fake, or man, I'm telling myself pre-snap, but I'm thinking, real world, like we got the ball. If it's a turnover, it's an interception. All right, I got to get ready. I got to get ready to make a tackle. And usually we're the first ones to get there because we're down the field. We can see where the ball is at and make a play on it. And you got to do that. So that is a want to, pretty much, because if you don't want to tackle somebody, it's going to show. And I'm not saying they don't want to, but you got to commit to it though. It's a full commitment.
Let me ask you this then, because I don't disagree, but I don't think they want to miss tackles. I think
I'm not saying they don't want to miss, but hey, you gotta.
But it's not the like to me. Let me see if this bounced off of you right.
Right.
It's not in the moment that they want to make it or not. It's in their preparation, whether they're willing to work hard enough during preparation time to make sure that they don't miss. You know, you see what I mean? Like in other words, if you don't put in the work, like tackling is a difficult thing to do. Like you and I are not going to walk down on the sidewalk and see like two dudes tackling each other down here or blocking each other. You're not going to do it. You got to buy a ticket to do it, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not teaching it, like, this is more my experiences on the coaching side now. Like if you see a team that doesn't tackle well, I'll show you a coaching staff that doesn't prioritize it. And that's what keeps this stuff drives me insane. Like, cause I literally did this for a professional team for years, like improving their tackling. And it was literally just, I'm shining a light on a problem that anybody can fix, but you got to want to fix it.
Yeah.
And for these guys, like it's clear to me that they're not spending a lot of time with like breaking down. Cause like the one he missed the one Savage missed in the hole that showed
exactly.
off.
Yep.
He's up on his toes. He's high. He's leaning. Like that's not the technique that anybody's teaching. Right. No. And so if you're not automatic with that, like you have to be able as a coach, as a coordinator, as a head coach, defensive coordinator, you got to be able to go, hey, we're going to spend time on this because it's valuable. And if you look at the amount of plays or the amount of yardage that we gave up last night post-contact or post-confrontation, whether it was like I completely whiffed on you, I hit you and I fell off, or you dragged me for 5-6 yards, I'll bet you there might be triple digits of extra yardage for the Buffalo Bills on offense.
We call that yak yardage.
Yak.
That's
the game, man.
It is.
That's the whole game.
I mean, it is yak. That yak yardage is a problem for a defense because obviously defenders get frustrated. But the knowing so between the player, then the next level is the coach. It's like you got to emphasize that in meetings. I remember one of my years coaching high school. We're going to the playoffs, and we had a stretch of games that we should have won and we won. So we weren't playing against talent on our level. So I said to the head coach, this was 2 weeks before the playoffs. I said, I would like to take all the players, everybody, not just defense, not just offense, special team. No, everybody to start working on our tackle drills right now. Because I said, Coach, reason why I'm doing this, because we haven't played nobody up to par to our level in a month. And then we have in 2 more weeks, we got playoffs. It's going to be a different game. And half the time, the problem is we didn't get back to those fundamentals early in the season or, at a certain point to then remind the players what's going to be important in a playoff game when the games are on the line. There's anxiety, there's nervousness, there's big plays that's got to be made. Sometimes the biggest play is the simplest play. Just make the tackle. Get the first down. If it's third and short, get the first down. And sometimes those are the biggest plays. It's the simplest plays. And some people think it's the bomb, like what Moore had, but then he messed it up by celebrating later against Carolina and Atlanta. Those plays don't have to. I mean, those plays sometimes have to happen, but sometimes it's the simplest play. You know what? I got to get 2 yards. All right, let's go. It's going to be the end. That's it. Get the 2 yards.
Because everything's 1v1 here, right? Like if you have a big play, that means you probably beat me. And if you beat me, like we can all kind of assume that most of these athletes are of similar athleticism.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So usually in a confrontation between two like athletes, like whoever can kind of figure out their technique better is going to win. So for every tackle I miss, every tackle you break is a tackle I missed.
Yep.
Right. So like that's like for your point is spot on. Like it's the simple stuff, or it's maybe the lack of a play that you didn't notice that really makes the biggest difference in the world.
It's huge. I remember blowing up linebackers after a pick in high school. I'm like, boom, boom, boom. They're like all shocked. I'm like, I was going to let you just run down the field for a touchdown too? You already got an interception. I'm not letting you get a 6 on top of the pick. Like, no. All right. So
I want to just give a quick Preston Smith.
Yes.
For multiple weeks in a row.
Really good.
Is playing his ass off. 5 tackles, tackle for loss. But he's just run game. He is playing in the backfield, man. And he's
understanding his technique.
Last year he was, I think, one of the best defensive ends in the league, ranked for however they rank it for run game stuff. But he is just playing at such a high level. He's so disciplined. He's good with his eyes. He anticipates. You can tell he watches. You can tell he kind of picks up whatever they're watching on tape.
Yep.
Because he just does a great job pre-snap of kind of making some decisions and stick with them. I love the way he's playing. I love the hustle he made on that Josh Allen scramble across the other side of the field, held him to a field goal. I mean, those are big plays in games. I know it didn't pan out for this game, but those are big plays in games that, you win a couple leads and you look back and you go, man, I'm glad he's playing the way he is.
Yeah, and that's a leader too. That's somebody that everybody looks up to, and they could watch that film. And I'm pretty sure there's a coach today while they're breaking down that film and said, watch 91. Say that. When a coach said that to me, if it was watch 25, watch number 4, watch 76, watch 68, and I'm like, and I'm watching them because I'm like, okay, whatever he did on that play or throughout the plays that the coach is mentioning his name, he's doing something important. He's doing something that's helping us win, and he's doing something that you should do this yourself. You should do it like this. So I'm like, boom, and that's that's a culture thing. You got to pay attention to that when coaches point that out.
Yeah, no doubt. So we got a couple questions from the mailbag this week.
Mailbag,
AG. So I think we talked about this before, but I oversimplified. What is the difference between run blocking and pass blocking? I think let's just so obviously backwards and forwards, but there's also there's a couple. There's the demeanor of your offense. Like, do you want to be? You're going to be physically aggressive, or are we going to sit back in the box and we're going to allow people to kind of dictate terms of confrontation with us? I think from up front, that's how we think about it. I'm sure that's how you think about it as a running back, right? And then you have to look at from an offensive standpoint. Last night, and Aaron said it, and I think Von Miller said it to Aaron. At some point, they thought they were going to start throwing the ball again. That's why in the second half, we still have 5- and 6-man boxes that we're running wild on.
Yeah.
But usually in a close game with teams that kind of have the
same
threat of runner pass,
right?
Then the defense is going to go, oh shoot, I got to load up the box, and now we have the over the top plays. So the offense can really dictate the terms of confrontation more if we're able to run. Right now, if you're able, everybody's going to try to pass, but if you're able to actually run. Now you can dictate the terms of confrontation because you're going to force the safety to come down.
Yep, that's why what I say all the time: keep the defense honest. Keep the defense honest, because once they try to cheat in something, put 9 guys in the box, sit back in zone, they do one of those things that they trying to dictate to you what you're going to do as an offense, and it's like, nah. Okay, you want to sit in zone? Oh, watch me run the ball and complete short passes all day long. Until you start filling the box. And then now I'm going to still run the ball just to set you up. I'm going to push you across the head with a deep receiver, a deep route over the top, because now you got 9 guys in the box and all the speed is there's no speed on the edge, or there's no speed on the inside with the backers, stuff like that, and with the run game. So, yeah, you just got to make that defense work to stop you. I said don't make it easy for a defense to stop you.
So a lot of guys are out there like, well, okay, we ran the ball great, but we didn't score any points. We only dropped 17, right?
Right.
And so you look at this game, though, and so there's 8 series. So first series we get down, it's 4th and 5, right? Watson makes the play on 3rd down, gets hurt. Then we go 4th and 5. Pass protection. Ed Oliver wins. We get pressure. Second series, 3 passes and out. Okay, that was only our real bad. That was our only real bad series of the night. 3 passes and out. Third series, we got the touchdown to Dobbs. There are a lot of different things in there. We had first 10 play action pass. We ran the ball. Then we have 2-minute. We drop back Ed Oliver and Rousseau combined for the sack.
Yeah.
We get the
pass interference.
We get the pass interference. We run for a first down. Then we do 2 pass attempts, get backed up, 3rd and 16, run a draw, and we're out. Second half, we got the Tunyon TD called down, field goal.
Yep.
So you just kind of see how things are going, right? Then the next time down, we ran for a bunch of first downs. We had 2 passes for 3. We run for 6. It's 4th and 1. Get blown up. Single block gets blown up by Von Miller. Okay, but again, we have a 4th down situation where we're in a position to score. Then we have the San Vittori, kind of the whole passing situation on the 7th drive where Rodgers takes us down. Ed Oliver's out. Jordan Poyer's out. We're passing. Torrey makes a couple of big plays. Touchdown, and then we get the field goal, miss it in the last one, right? So it's not like you just go in your mind, and I know this is very easy to do, but we were running for first downs. And like this wasn't a 7, like the output was 17 points, but the truth is like we should have had 20 some points, maybe 30 points in this game. We blew it on the first 4th and 5. We blew it on a 4th and 1. There was a couple plays to be made that you don't get backed up to 3rd and 16. You know, because we're averaging almost 7 yards a carry. So you just start thinking to yourself, like a lot of life is possible if you can run the ball pretty well.
It is. And this makes smart decisions, you know, with some, like you said, with some of the play calls and some of the blocking technique is there as well. And you don't have the issues that we're sitting in.
Let's get the Tom thing. Let me ask you this.
We talked about him now. Yep.
As you look at the style of play, who do you think, in order for us to become a playoff caliber team, like if you could pick one person, maybe it's a group, who needs to take it to the next level? Because your boys last night, they're there.
Yeah, the running backs are there.
They're playing playoff football now.
Yes, I would say the offensive line take it to the next level. I know it's tough. But they gotta get a guy in there, and they gotta get people in there that basically want to execute all the way through a game. Now I know it's a team thing, but they gotta. I think that group right there, if they get it to the next level, then it's gonna be a big difference because then the offense is moving, running and passing.
I agree. Because DeGuara played like he did last night, and I think you just kind of see like, okay, maybe he can be that guy that fills in some spots for us and just puts us in situations to be successful, playing the fullback role, playing the cross block tight. Certainly the receiver room as well. But for me, I was going to say offensive line, but because you did, I'll go defense and just say our safeties have to play way better, man.
Right.
Like they have. And I'm just talking about filling in the run game. We cannot give up the yak that we're giving up, the yards after contact that we're giving.
That is huge.
We just cannot. You cannot be missing tackles in the hole. They're too important. The games this year are going to be razor thin margin, man.
At this point, for them,
one or two plays are going to make the difference in the game, and you have to be the guy making those plays. So, the last question here, AG, is Kenny Clark started this season with 10 pressures in 2 games.
Right.
And it's not like he's not playing, and he plays a position that's really tough to get numbers, right? He plays nose tackle, so he had 4 tackles last night, but only 1 solo. Mitch Morse is a good player. They have guys double teaming him the whole time, but you just kind of go like, you're just not seeing him with those knockdowns the last 2 weeks, maybe as much as we did.
Yeah, I don't know where he's at. I mean, I know he's there.
Right.
Maybe it's a mental thing, or maybe just like he's struggling just to try to get and do things, try to make big plays. And I think that's where he might be getting, if he's in that mindset. He just got to focus. I said what he needs to do is just focus on himself, on his position, and what his job entails. And then whatever the coaching staff tells him to do, just bring it down. Like it's just simplify things, because when you think in the big thing, oh my God, we're sitting at this, you're a leader, people look up to me, I want to do, okay, let's shave all this static. Let's shave it down to 1 or 2 things. Let me just do this thing and this thing. When I had those moments where I felt the whole weight of the world was on me, and I needed to do this to help with the team win, and I would simplify it. I'll say, AG, just get the ball and just run. Just do those 2 things. After that, and then when it's my job to pick up the blitz or play action fake, and then check off of that to make sure nobody's coming. If I see color, hit it. If not, get to my route. Just do what is in front of me. Don't try to make nothing big happen. And I said this earlier in the show, the simplest plays are the plays that if you just do them right, it's going to be something big anyway.
Well said. And that takes us to get off my lawn.
Ooh.
Okay. The first thing is, so I'm going to add one too that but the first thing is this. Zadarius Smith is now leading the league in sacks for the Minnesota Vikings. I think he has 8.5.
Okay.
He had another good day yesterday. It turns out that the Green Bay Packers are paying him $11.4 million this year to lead the league in sacks for the Vikings. The Vikings are only paying him $3 million and change. Only is a relative term here. But I'll say it again for emphasis. The Packers are paying Zadarius Smith, who, by the way, is pretty good and made a huge difference in this team when he was here, for especially year 1. $11.4 million this year to lead the league in sacks for the Minnesota Vikings. Ouch.
What? That's crazy. Yeah, just quiet. The quiet explains it all.
That's tough. I got one more, and then I'm going to ask you the other one. Quay Walker last night.
Yes,
what
I saw this.
in the hell are you doing?
What? I mean, Well, I
the
saw
guy
it
was
happen.
actually trying to help you up. Like,
Yes.
the guy was not tough guying you.
No, he
And
was already in the mind state of he's mad at something else.
this, when you were talking earlier about Jair Alexander talking to, and let's be clear, like, Alexander's the one who's going to look for Diggs in the tunnel. Like that Diggs actually after the game was like, we have never played a game where so many people talk so much trash. He goes, look, he's like, watch our film. We don't ever talk trash. We go about our business. We do this, we do that.
He goes, talking about Bills, right.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know what their deal was last night. And then you see that, and you see the way they're acting and all this stuff. And Collinsworth's talking about how they're jawing the whole time or whoever the other guy is. And then you go, and then you see Quay Walker, like, this dude's not even dressed, is trying to help him up.
He might be equipment manager.
What are you doing?
Like, he might be equipment manager.
Yeah, that was like that was embarrassing.
It was.
Like, you have to go home and like call your mom and be like, hey, how'd the game go? It's like, well, I attacked an equipment manager, so I had to get kicked out of the game. You're like, are you serious, dude?
I don't think I've ever been kicked out of the game. I could go back to Little League. I've been close.
I've been asked to leave games before, but never for that.
Right. I remember my coach was the reason behind it, because we played this. It was Little League, and this team, I wasn't on the team year before, so I'm on a new team. And the year before, this team we faced, they had the defensive play where the nose guard would tee off on the center and just get a flag, because it was an intimidation thing. Little League intimidation. So my coach said, I'm a middle linebacker. He said, hey, Ahman, I want you to do this. And it didn't click. Being 13, it didn't click right away. Like, why is he asking me to do this? So I know all this information now because I found out later that happened. And so first couple plays, he sends me on this blitz, and he said, get the flag. Don't worry about it. I'll eat it. And I'm like, all right, but I'm getting whatever. All right, boom. I hit the guy and throw the flag, offsides, linebacker. I do it again. Boom. Did it. Offsides, linebacker. Number 34, you got a warning. Then the referee goes, you got a warning. I'm like, what? I'm trying to play dumb, but obviously it's the play call. And the third time I hit him, he's like, all right, now next one, you're out of here, 34. And I'm like, I look at my coach, I'm like,
I would have started tearing up right then.
I was like, now you want this to go this far? I'll say, because I'm about to get ejected, coach.
Isn't it funny how much like life has changed? Like, you could do, like, that's just a retaliation play by your coach, and he's just using you as a pawn. Like,
right.
I was playing baseball, and I was a freshman. And they moved me up to varsity to pitch.
Yeah.
And so, but I could just throw. I was left-handed to throw hard.
Yeah.
So my coach would put me in the game to hit batters on the other team. If they hit our guys, he'd just be like, "Go warm up," and I'd go in. And I'd just start beaning guys, and then I go back out. I'm like you look at it now, you're like, I think that's child abuse. Like,
right.
I don't think that's, or no, it's not. But you know what I mean?
I know.
Now people would be like, "Oh dear God!" But like back then, it was like, we got a goo, and he's just gonna throw at you. Now,
right.
So.
This is our guy. That was it. Yeah.
All right, AG. It's Halloween today. Mm-hmm. You're the expert. What are the best and worst Halloween series for you?
All right. Well, the worst, I'll start with the worst, was the Rob Zombies one. He just went a little too far. Into
all Rob Zombie movies, or just Halloween?
No, just the ones he directed, the Halloweens that he directed. He directed like 2, maybe 3 of them.
Yep. Okay. The newer ones. Because wait, so I just got to be clear on this. Because I love Rob Zombie movies, like House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yes, like that was good.
I love those
good.
Movies. Okay, Lords of Salem, Devil's Reject. I love those movies.
Like that was him in his playground. Mm-hmm. But when you're going, so he was a director. Basically, movies are business. Every movie's a business. So the Halloween series that said, hey, let's hire this director to bring his style. We kind of like what he did with House of a Thousand Corpses. Mm-hmm. Let's see what he could do with the Halloween franchise. Okay. It's basically, so that's basically what happened.
Okay, and
so
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, like I said, great. I see where he was going with it, but it just was a little wasn't on par of what Halloween series were. And I say it's not the worst by far. No, I trust me, it's some bad stuff. It ain't the worst by far. It's by a few. It's like a few yards. If we're counting, we want to say that just by a few stars, thumbs up or whatever. It's one down. That's about it. But the best, I'll say just the originals. I say the original first 3 Halloweens, where you set the stage, the origin story of all that. Mike Myers, man, he is the Hall of Fame. He's on the Mount Rushmore of horror villains out there, along with Freddy and Jason.
Is he your favorite? Like, are these your favorite? If you have to watch a horror movie, what are you watching? Is this your favorite genre, your favorite movie?
Oh yeah, that's one of them. Oh yeah, I'm watching the original Halloween and number 2. or I'm watching the first and second Jason, and then the first and second Freddy if I'm gonna watch horror, and then Aliens if I'm gonna go sci-fi. I'm gonna watch the Aliens with Sigourney Weaver, 1988.
That was such a good movie.
Yeah. Awesome.
Do you like Alien or Aliens better?
So I watched Aliens as
yep.
a what was I 11,
yep.
And so that's the one I fell in. And my dad said
with the little girl.
With the little girl with Newt. Her name was Newt.
Yep.
But my dad, like, we went to the drive-in, we saw it. The hair standing up on my back and neck right now. I watched the movie. So in the scene when she jumps in the robot and she's fighting the robot, she's in the robot fighting the mother alien. We're at the drive-in theater in Delamo, California. We're in Delamo area. I jump out. This is 11-year-old. I jump out the car like, yeah, kill that alien. And my mom and dad's like, boy, get in the car. What's wrong with you? I was like, that's dope. She in a robot. She kicking that alien's butt. Blah, 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 blah. But then my dad, we get home. He's like, you know what? That's part 2. He said the original is Aliens. I was like, really? Yeah. I said, oh yeah, you gotta rent that, Dad. You know, we rented it the next week, and I'm like, oh, this is deep. This is sweet. This is serious. I say, so she woke up from hypersleep, had to go back in. I'm like, oh, blew my mind as an 11-year-old. I was like, that's messed up. I was learning. I didn't know what I was learning then, but now I know now. Like, oh, big business is a problem.
I'm trying to think. Like, we used to watch a lot of horror movies because my wife was into them.
Right.
And then she hates them now, so we don't watch that many. But I'm trying to think of a movie that I like more than Devil's Rejects or House of a Thousand Corpses. Like, I really like those movies. Like, we used to watch Freddy Krueger and all that stuff, but I always thought it was almost too. I guess the first one was good.
The first one was good. Number 2 and 3,
they get kind of cartoonish.
Yes,
but
after 2,
the first one was good.
Freddy 1 was good, but then 2 and 3, and then 4 and 5 and 6, the Dream Child and all that. I was like, you lost me.
My uncle I used to stay at my uncle's house when my parents went out of town, and like he had all of them. Sit there and watch them. And you're like, I don't know. I must have been like 9 or something, and I probably didn't sleep for 4 months. Jesus, why I lost all my hair.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. Lost it early because of being scared by a dude with long razor claws on his hand. Oh man. Woo! But that was my baby. Well, even worse for me, that was my brothers and sisters' babysitting tool. So I was 3. Mom's at work.
That's terrible.
And they decided to put me on the couch and play the first Friday the 13th as a babysitting tool. And I was so frightened that I didn't get off the couch until my mom got home.
Hey, I know I was just switching genres here, but I want to ask you this question because you brought it up.
Yeah.
DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me? Okay. So the kicker's got to make the kick.
Yep.
But now you're in South Utah kicking the ball. You're at the 30 now, right?
I was like, dog, yeah.
But after everything that dude's been through, and then he's great play, throw of the year, PJ Walker. I mean, Unbelievable. Like, why did you have to take that to me was the biggest bonehead play I've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
it was just so stupid.
I say, not being professional enough at the right time. Because you already made the big play. There's no need to bring the take the helmet off and show me this is who you are.
Didn't they leave him at home last week though? Because wasn't that him?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think they left him at home the week last week because he was bitching and moaning about getting the ball.
Gotcha. And and then there you go. There's a layer to that emotion because he thinks in his head, oh, they left me at home last week. All that build up, and it's a game-winning touchdown. When if you're in your right mind as a professional, the play is the touchdown. You don't have to get up and you don't even have to dance. You just got to spike the ball and be like, or keep the ball. Like, this is a big moment. Yeah. Keep the helmet on, celebrate with your teammates, run to the sideline, kick the field goal. Because that's the first thing that popped in my head is, all right, PAT. Don't mess that up. You don't mess it up by just running off to the sideline, celebrating with your teammates. And I think a lot of layers to that because, like you said, he wasn't in last week. Young player, not professional enough at the right time.
Yeah, I remember they got rid of. Robbie Anderson also had the problems.
Yeah, he did too.
They just traded him, but I might be wrong on that. But I thought they left him at home last week. Anyways, doesn't matter. It's a bad play.
Yeah, it's a bad beat for them.
So we didn't have time to. I didn't have time to pick up some clips. I'll put some clips on into this on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Pop it on YouTube.
We'll do it on Thursday. Yeah.
All right, man.
All right, man. Good show. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, Mike68 on Twitter, Process to Perform on Instagram. AG, a pleasure as always, my friend.
Yep, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter, Ahman Green 30. Check us out, and we'll be back on Thursday with a preview for the Lions in Detroit.
I know, unbelievable.
We'll see. All right, we'll talk about it on Thursday. See y'all then. All right, Mike.